Good evening, Facebook family. My name is Luke Valentine. I'm coming to you from Moment to Remember studio here in Sunrise, Florida. Welcome to Bar Talk on Jamaicans.com. It is my privilege to come to you this evening and talk to you again about subjects that we do as guys talk about. This evening is going to be also a very interesting one. The topic for this evening, believe it or not, will be, or is, I should say, can your relationship survive a COVID-19 shutdown or lockdown? Can your relationship survive a COVID-19 shutdown or lockdown, as I said? And this relationship could be husband, could be wife, could be side chick, could be office chick, could be chick on the side, could be chick on the side who thinks that she is the main chick. All relationships are affected this time. This evening, I have with me, it's amazing that we still are able to exercise social distancing and still have a crew, a very small crew, only 4 of us inside here this evening. And as I mentioned them, you'll see, the studio is about 1,500 square feet. And so we're exercising social distancing. They say social distancing is like 6 feet. We're beyond 10 feet. So first of all, let me introduce the lady before. A lady who's going to give us the fact check and the reality check as guys is none other than Miss Juliet Stedman.
Hi everyone. My name is Juliet Stedman. Happy Sunday. We're going through some real perilous time, but we're going to have to try to up the spirit, keep each other grounded. Keep uplifting those that are hurting, keep uplifting those that are in the hospital. We have a lot to be. We're gonna have to try to. We have a lot to be grateful for. Keep each other grounded. We have a lot of people coming out of the hospitals, and so we still have things to be grateful for. We gotta also keep it together for the children. So, and we're here practicing social distancing. I'm all the way over here. Dennis is all the way over there, and Luke is all the way back there.
Yes, so I'm glad she said that. So if you notice this evening, you will not be able to see a main shot with all 3 of us because we don't have any cameras wide enough in the studio to actually capture all of us at once. So as we each person talk, you'll see them solo. But that's all part of this social distancing that we must, as you know, do. And to my right, good friend of mine again, real estate, I call him Mowgli. He'll probably tell me no, he's not. But Dennis Nelson. So hi, Dennis.
Hello. How is everyone doing? I'm Dennis Nelson, and I am actually very excited that we're here to talk about the subject matter. First and foremost, hope we are all being very diligent out there and safe with this COVID-19 that's out there. So, hello everyone. How are you?
And you can't see him because he's in the back. I wish we had a 4th camera to go in the back, but my dear friend, my church brother, a brother I can always rely on. He's operating at the switcher, the desk, the audio, everything. Kevin Stew from Kevin Stew on the night shift, kevinstew.com. Kevin, just wave to everybody. They can't see you, but just say hi.
Okay.
So I tell you what, I thought, like last week, we spoke about things relating to the coronavirus and what's happening in the community. And I tried to go to ground level to talk to some people who were experiencing issues in the business, so forth. If you remember last week, we spoke to 2 people. One was a barber, if he's watching, hi. And so I understand from folks in the barber shop that since then things have gotten really hard because people just don't trust going to the barber, having somebody in the head. I can understand me, but I can also tell you these guys, for the records, I've been to their place and they're some of the nicest guys I saw there in the Lauderhill Mall. Another sister I spoke to, which worked in one of the retail stores, you heard her last week telling us what to do and that she's concerned. She has 3 kids and she's living at home with her kids. Shortly after the show, believe it or not, the following day I should say, I stopped by to say hi and realized that her store was closed also. So it's really affecting everyone. So the thought came to me, if you're at home with your family and your loved ones, then there should be a sense of unity and a chance to talk out to each other and feel free and do some makeup for times that you spent away. And so I started in my research. One of the things I saw was this thing about corona babies. You know, like Christmas, 9 months after Christmas, if you're a September person like myself, people say you were born out of happiness because of the Christmas rush. So I looked it up and it said corona babies expected in 2021 because people have so much time together. But then I start seeing other articles. For example, in China, that since their lockdown, the divorce rate has been up. I'm like, whoa, really? And then I started looking at some other things, and I realized that in certain cities, well, not in the United States so far, that people were actually in lines around the registrar's block building trying to file for divorce because they just can't stand the people they were living with. And then back home I started to do my research, and I think, Kevin, you see some of the things. I saw something from CNN. If Kevin puts that up on the screen, it says something about, it's the same thing about surviving. What does it say, Kevin? I can't see from here.
Can your marriage survive the coronavirus?
It says, can your marriage survive? And this is coming from a reputable source. And I started to think, really? And then the same thing I found out was happening in Jamaica and happening here in the States, where people are deciding that, you know, something, I didn't realize this man or this woman is like this. And then I realized that other people were affected. And then there's another slide I saw from, I think, the Washington Post that still spoke about this. What's the heading of that one, Kevin?
As couples self-isolate due to coronavirus, lawyers expect a rise in divorces.
Whoa. As couples isolate during this coronavirus, lawyers are expecting a rise in divorces. And I just wanted, whoa. And so I wanted to myself, I'm just being nosy. What happened to the chick on the side? Or especially the chick on the side that thought she is the main chick. What about office relationship? In fact, I'll leave that because I got some stories after I mentioned that to a couple folks.
I want to know what happened to the guy on the side.
Kevin says he wanted to put hey, let's be fair. Kevin wants to know what happens to the guy on the side because we should be fair. What is good for the goose is good for the gander.
That's right.
Okay, so now I just want to reach out to you if you are on Facebook and especially on Jamaicans.com. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're coming from, where you're calling from, so I can get a feel of who is there. Also, I'm going to go to my phone shortly. So this is a conversation that involves us all. So if you have some idea on the topic, please let me know. Would really appreciate it. Anyway, let's start with our studio audience. Kevin already told me it's a two-way street. Whatever good for the man is good for the woman. Juliet, your thoughts?
My thoughts. So it's, you know how they say it's telltale signs? I think it's telltale times right now. So a lot of secrets are going to be revealed. People are going to find out a lot of things that they didn't know. A lot of people who thought that their relationship was solid are going to find out that it has been on the rock, because a lot of things people are doing now within this confinement in their homes are revealing a lot of stuff. A lot of people realize now that they don't like the person that they're married to, because now they have all this time to spend. And you have to wonder, I mean, there should be a time where we're looking at it and say, you know what? We had hustle and bustle all along, and now we're getting time to just sit back and relax with our family. Yeah, I know that, you know, a lot of other factors are being put into place. Financially, people are going to be thinking, okay, we're out of work, so 2 weeks out of work, a lot of people are in jeopardy of losing stuff. But and we know that the whole stimulus package is going to take a little while to come, but at least there's hope that something is coming in. The banks and the mortgage companies, the car companies, they are actually facilitating a lot of homes, families, a lot of loans for maybe another, at least 2 months, 3 months. At least, you know, you are set for that time. So people should be a little more relaxed, you know, and say, okay, well, we have a little time. So they should be focusing on the family, staying, doing stuff. But instead of doing that, they don't even want to stay home. Because home is not where
the heart is. Let's say
home is not where the heart is. They don't want to be there.
Let's be real about it. I want to just interject just a bit so I can say hi to some. Yeah, let's be real. The home is where you. The house, I should say, is where you sleep. And sometimes that's the reality that sometimes people don't get.
That's
like
right.
Luther says it pretty well. A house is not a home, right?
That's right.
Okay, so
That's right.
sometimes you have to watch it. I just want to take time out to talk to Faye. Faye Anderson, hello from the Philippines. Hello, Faye, how you doing? Georgia Grant Taylor from North Carolina. Hey, Georgia, how you doing? I can't get some of these names from Norway. Pardon me if I mispronounce the name. Margaret Kudsden from Norway. I love the fact that you're listening to Jamaicans.com from that far. Yes. I'm looking at Ann Holder. Hello from, hopefully it's sunny in Barbados. Greetings from India. Julia from Indiana, I should say. And then we have Julia again. Oh, Julia says exactly. Wondering if there will be a baby boom also in an increase of divorce. Oh, that's a topic in itself.
Yes.
Divorce and babies sounds like the child support is going to be on overload. The child support is going to be overload. Pauline McLean, greetings from Canada. Georgia Grant Taylor, hi again. Catherine from Florida, hello. Juliet Stedman is watching with you. Ann Holder is watching. Catherine Reamer, OMG. Dennis Evadny. Hey Dennis, that's one of my good friends. How you doing? Hopefully you're at home enjoying yourself. Andrea Dixon, I'm having a beautiful time at home with my hubby. Andrew, you are one of the people I know. Everywhere you go, your hubby is beside you. So we know that this topic you probably find quite humorous. Okay, there's so much that could be said right now, but I'm going to hear what Dennis has to say. So I'm going to just pass this on over to Dennis, and I'll be back.
Well, hey guys, I think awareness. I mean, with everything that's going on, to the point earlier mentioned, is you are now in a home, quarantined for hours and days. It's been weeks with someone that you may have thought you've known, but you've pretty much, it's been kind of like part-time in a way, where you see the person, whether it's hustling out the door, coming in the evenings, dinners, whatever. But certainly there's a fear factor, I think, so it's a level of awareness as to what's happening. Okay? We all have different perspective as to what's really going on, and we see all the WhatsApp notifications of what's happening, and it creates a fear factor. So I think it just depends on where the individuals are with themselves. Certainly, as it was mentioned before, it's a time to get to reconnect. Or let me rewind that back. It should be a time that you are able to reconnect with that person, because now you have so much time on your hands. But oftentimes, having so much time on your hands, it may divulge other things.
Yeah. I tell you what, on a serious note, talking from, and this is real serious, folks. I realize that so many of us, the society has gotten us in a work environment that rob us from developing, and sometimes not developing, but patching good relationships. And I'm so serious about this because you figure about it. I'm talking from serious experience in days gone by. When you live in a household with wife and kids. You get up at 5:45 in the morning and you get kids ready for work. In my case, I had a kid who had to be at school at 5 o'clock, at 7 o'clock. So I'm getting up at 5:45. By 7 o'clock, school starts. And before you know it, you got to be drop off the other kid and get to work. And you're at work all day, and you come back in 5:36, or if the kids have after-school care, then you find yourself being out till 7, 8 o'clock. It's just time to come home to have dinner, to help out with anything, and before you know it, it's time to go back, to do it all over, to go to bed and get up at 5:45. And of course, weekends with church and other activities, that's it. And when it's not church, it's maybe any other activities that people go out there doing with their friends or so on a Saturday. So when you realize that the work has more time than your household, school has more time than your household. There are so many things that I call the proverbial termites that actually digging at your relationship during the course of that time. But guess what? You don't see it because you're so busy making that dollar. And as long as the rent is paid, and as long as the car note is paid, and as long as we have food in the house and so forth, we're existing. Suddenly, it's a lockdown. And you are now forced to have communication with people in the house that you basically were saying hi and bye to. That in itself is chaotic. Now, let's also understand that a sister called me up and she said, when I was talking to her, she called me up and she said, Luke, you know what happened? And this is the joke or the jovial side of it. She says, Luke, a girlfriend of mine called me and she said to me, listen, man, her girlfriend wanted to know, or that she wanted some information because guess what? Her husband kept taking phone calls from his co-workers at 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening, 10 o'clock at night. And she started to suspect that that something is going on because every time he gets a call, guess what he does?
Leaves the room.
He walks out. There you go. He walks out the room. So obviously there is a work chick or something. Give me some feedback. Let me know. Hey, Kevin, your thoughts on it. I know the audience can. Kevin is having a whale of a time, but your thoughts on it, Kevin.
Listen, there will be the work relationships. Some of them is nothing more than the bond that you created while at work. So some of them are really quote unquote innocent in the fact that they are not sexual. But unless you and that partner have gotten to the point where you start having serious dialogue, so now you're talking about each other and what you're experiencing, you know, there might be someone, because being married doesn't mean that your emotions turn off.
That's right.
You don't stop seeing other people, as in visually seeing other people. You don't stop being attracted to other people. So if you're not at that stage where you're communicating with your partner and saying, hey, you know what, I saw this person and they were attractive and I kind of like them. Nothing going on, but I kind of like them, you know, they appeal to me.
But a call at 10 o'clock at night?
Watch me now. When you get to that spot,
Yes.
and you get that late night call and you're leaving the room to have that conversation, there's all reason
To suspect.
to have suspicions. Especially if you're not having the dialogue to say, well, here is this person that I'm talking to about a specific subject, and they like to keep it private. If you don't mind, I'm going to leave the room to have this discussion.
I wonder, hold on, Juliet. I know she's just like, want to get into this. But hold on just a second, folks. I just want to address, something came up. I saw something here from Andrea asking about that Hezron picture. Hezron is actually watching. Hezron Clark is working. Hezron, my brother, let me hail you up, man. Hezron, you're a good, amazing singer. And Andrea is asking about that Hezron picture in the background. She wants to buy it. And it just brings me to mind because on a serious note, that picture was a couple of pictures that was on an exhibition in the city of Lauderhill. And it was their part, that picture was actually for sale, Andrea. And the proceeds, Hezron had agreed that all that proceeds would go to the Sunrise. Kiwan is a greater Sunrise. Kiwan is a greater Sunrise. Their scholarship fund. They help a lot of kids to go to college and to make their just realize their dreams. And it just reminded me in the process. So Andrea, the answer is yes, it's still for sale. You can get it, and it's not going to any money here from me. All proceeds is going to the Kiwanis of Greater Sunrise. And thank you, Hezron. But it reminded me that Barry, a brother who was known from Jamaica, he was involved in insurance business and so forth. He just passed this week from cancer. And he has been one of those guys who have gone all out. He has raised money through different organizations, and he has sent so many kids to college. So as I think about the painting, as I think about the Hezron and so forth, Hezron, you're part of a worthy cause, and yes, Barry, we to your family and to the Sunrise Kiwanis, for which you have been a part of, a member for years, we just want to tell your family that we support you, and my brother, rest in peace. Okay. Now, back to you, Juliet.
Okay, so we understand that we spend most of our time at work.
Yes.
And so there are going to be relationships that's going to be built over time. We understand that. However, most of that was happening because you were at work, but now you're home. So what's your excuse? Now that you're home, you're supposed to be trying to take that time that you were always missing to, put whatever time we were getting to talk. Now this is a time where we have more than ample time to sit down, have conversations, do all kind of stuff. Look at our goals, where are we going, what's happening right now with all of this happening, where are we going, what if, the money is coming in at what time, when is Trump sending our checks, and before that, what's gonna happen? There's so many things to discuss. The kids, what are we, our future. You can't tell me that you have a substantial relationship, would it be a relationship, just a relationship or a marriage, and you're telling me that you can't find anything to sit down and talk to your partner about? You still have to pick up the phone and speak to somebody outside? That speaks volume. And that's just telling me that, or any woman thinking, and we're always thinking that something doesn't look right with that picture. That picture, don't give me that one, and don't tell me that it's work. It's not work. Besides, work shut down. So what kind of work are you talking about?
Well, let me ask you a question. You think, let's be real now. If coronavirus, if the shutdown is to last for, people are talking about our president said until Easter. The doctors are saying well past that. So if, for argument's sake, that this shutdown lasts, for example, for the next
6 months.
3 to 6 months, does that mean you are now confined to a wife at home, or just your communication?
Or to a husband.
Stop leaving out the
So
man.
yes. Let's make the playing field even, or just the man. Can't you call that sister who sits in the cubicle?
Or the brother.
Or the brother that sits in that cubicle, a little two cubicles down, who always pass you, always meet at the copier in them high heels with them nice calf and so forth. Can you call that person and say hi without the wife having a fit? Dennis, talk to me. Dennis, talk to me.
Okay, so ideally that's a lot of material and funny, but reality is this: still, there is a fear factor and there's a trust factor. Julie just mentioned a few things. Okay, you have, from a work perspective, we're going to take it seriously. There are not every business is shut down. So just statistically, we're going to talk about that, right? There are cloud-based businesses out there that people are still indeed working. To the point of relationship, work or home, I think the home relationship, to Kevin's point, it depends on that relationship. It depends on communication and the connection that exists between those two people. If you normally have conversations and you understand no matter what level it is, you have a way to communicate with each other. So now, certainly the lights are on when you're home week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and going as to the point Luke just mentioned, it could be 3 to 6 months. So now you're seeing a lot more of this individual where years have gone by where you've been on a set routine. And so now people tend to sometimes grow apart or they sometimes grow together more. So reality is maybe not jumping to conclusion and subscribing to some things that you see something, you certainly still, because of that relationship, have the ability to agree or disagree with that person. And the intent, to Julie's point, is to get closer to that person, male or female, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it is, to get closer to that person. But ideally, again, this stems from another way to look at it. This could be a vacation. Certainly, you are now at home with your loved ones more so than you have been even when you take an actual true vacation for a week or two. Mm-hmm. So now the key is it's like a rinse and repeat. You get a chance now to get to know your loved ones on a different level. Let's not always look at it from a negative perspective. Look at it from a positive perspective. It's like, what do you get? It's a get to. You get to stay home with that person. Get to reconnect with this person on a level that you have not connected with for years. Now, so for the trust factor, going back to this point where, saved by the bell probably, going to this point where if the person gets a call late night.
What's going on, Dennis?
What's in that spreadsheet? Yes, what's in that spreadsheet at midnight? What kind of spread? What kind of sheet?
Exactly. True enough.
Yes.
True enough. So, but the point is, from a relationship standpoint, if in fact the COVID virus is going around, right, and so you had a relationship with someone, male or female, in the office, and you used to talk to that person may have confided in you, again, non-sexual scenario, but that's someone, to Kevin's point, you've been in a relationship, you're talking to, you used to talk to that person every day, but now there's a shift, there's a change. Does that mean automatically from a woman perspective with her man or from a male perspective with his woman, does that mean that you cannot have that relationship still by communicating with that person? Now, certainly it looks suspicious if you get up in the middle of the night and walk out. Mm-hmm. It does look suspicious, but then that creates dialogue you should talk to and not jump to conclusions.
And that points to, I see Kevin about to say something, but that points to the question of knowing your partner and that you took time to build that relationship. I want to address that, but just a minute. I just want to say to Faye Anderson, sorry, I said you were from the Philippines. Thanks for the correction, Faye. You're actually watching from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
That's right.
I appreciate that. And hi, Maxine Chang Rees from Tampa. And I'm trying to look at some of the things. Children, a couple of people are saying that they're chilling at home with their husband, and that fact that she spoke about that as spouse.
Where are
And
the men?
somebody, where are the men?
There's no men chiming in?
Somebody mentioned that we need to look at it also from the point of view that it's not just the negative, that there's some positive. The show is quite young. There are very much some positives because from talking about these things, we will definitely conclude with some of the positives. But so far, we wanted I'm a little bit trying to get to certain directions and to see how these, because it's all about relationships. It's not just about husband and wife. There are some people who've been contented, for example, to have a guy who is probably been married or something, who the chick on the side. And now every time there's a hurricane, there's a thunderstorm, there's a third tornado, and now there's COVID-19, there is an instant separation. In fact, I tell you what, there was something in the news, and some of these things I'm talking about, I'm not making this stuff up. There was one guy who left and told his wife he was going, because I did done some research on this thing, told his wife that he was going overseas on business. He went to the side chick on an international level and came back with the coronavirus. So that is kind of crazy. Anyway, folks, it's still, there's a lot more to be said, but please, if this is interesting to you, please share it with a friend. Tell them, jump on Facebook at Jamaicans.com, Facebook at Jamaicans.com. Bar Talk. Bar Talk is always here every Sunday at 5 p.m. Real man, everyday issue, real talk. And as always, you know, we always have a wonderful female in the house to make sure, give us guys. For right now, there are 4 of us in the studio. There is Kevin, there's Dennis, and there's Luke here. And there is, of course, the 4th party, which is Juliet, who's making sure to give us a reality check on some of the things we're talking about. Juliet, have we done anything that is out of line so far?
No, so far you guys are hitting on the truth. And Dennis had said something about, can you now talk to somebody who you used to talk to while you're in the office? And of course, and it goes back to the kind of relationship that you have. Because if we're supposed to be able to trust each other, suppose the operative word, but we're supposed to be able to trust each other. And so, of course, I'm not at work with you. So you're going to have a relationship with somebody at work, whether I like it or not. I'm not talking about an intimate relationship. No, I'm just talking about, like Kevin had said, you know, social level, people have people that they confine in that they can't. Some people can't talk to husband or wife at home. And it's somebody, sometimes it's a coworker that they're able to talk to. And so I understand all of that. But now there's some boundaries that you have to set. They're boundaries. So I understand.
And I agree with that. But also hear this. If, Denise Ivadny, hi again, my dear. She is saying that, so it's a lockdown, but she's saying there are people working from home. So in other words, if I understand this, she's saying also that, listen, so there's a lockdown, people are working from home. There's work to be produced. So in other words, it doesn't matter what time that person called, your wifey or so Dennis doesn't correct me, your husband or whoever should know that this is all about work business. So does that give anybody the right to just call you? And in my business, for example, let me stop there right just now, because in my business, sometimes I turn off my phone at nights because I get calls about photography and books and things. At 1 o'clock in the morning, people call me about their stuff. Now, if I were in a situation where I had to go account to somebody at that time of the night, I would probably be in trouble. What sister is calling me from, I've had people call me from, I can't mention the name of the different places, I get in trouble, but people call me from places about that they've left out something out of a book, they've left out something that needs to be done because the book goes to print tomorrow morning or that type of stuff. So at what point do you balance, especially now, and we talk about finding solutions, especially now that people are working from home and the physical office is closed, at what time, how do we make compromise?
Set a precedence.
Yes, so you said it best. What do you mean by that?
Set a precedence. In other words, because of the change that has occurred, because of COVID, so we're all, I mean, it's new, so we're all off balance. So relationship-wise, set a precedence with your partner. Set a precedence with that friend, the relationship you have in the office. Say, listen, we are home now, obviously, in our respective homes. And as we are communicating, certainly to be mindful and respectful, as Julia said, of the home. Certainly not getting a call at 12, 1 o'clock at night to where the individual has to walk out of the room from whatever. So certainly, male or female, that individual is going to feel a little slighted, like, wait a minute, that's a shady move, in essence. So because it looks like it's a shady move, that's going to be the perception. So I think just setting boundaries and precedents.
And Catherine, I hear you. Catherine says, he couldn't be doing that with me. Phone ring, stay in the room.
Of course.
All right, wait. So what about the individual that is?
And you're
showing
listening
a
to the
little bit
voice of Kevin Stew currently. He's our behind the scene engineer. He's doing the switching, everything. So Kevin, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what about the individual who says, I'm showing respect to my partner because we were watching this feature on the telly
Right.
and my talking is now going to disturb.
Good one, Kevin, but
Yes, thank you.
yeah. Good try.
I noticed I said, male.
Kevin, you just trying to start more trouble. I don't give nobody no
Good
excuse.
one. Good one, Kevin, but we're not buying that one. It's all good. No, don't get me wrong, because I'm for relationships, and sometimes I know there are people at work who don't have anybody else. So sometimes they don't have any. They don't have anybody. Period.
Right.
Yeah.
There are people out there that don't have a family. A lot of we take
That's
so
right.
much for granted.
Absolutely.
We have families at home. We have families we can call. We have good friends we can call. But there are people around that really don't have anybody. There are people around that don't have anybody. And so sometimes you go to work and you build relationship with somebody else. And I understand that. But the number one thing here is communication.
Absolutely.
Communication. So you have to talk to each other. You can't take it for granted that I know that this person is just somebody who needs somebody to talk to. You have to let me know. I don't necessarily want to hear what you talk about, honestly, because sometimes I think sometimes as close as you are, it's like attorney privilege and client. Sometimes I do believe in that sometimes not everybody wants everybody in their business.
Yeah.
And you might be my guy or my husband, but that doesn't say that your friend wants me as your wife or your girlfriend to know what's going on in their business. And I totally respect that. So I don't necessarily need to hear the nitty-gritty of the conversation, but there has to be some sort of communication. I have to know that, this is what it is. You cannot, it's very disrespectful for you to be in a room with me, the phone rings every time, and you get up and you go. I don't need to take my glasses off or put them on. I can see through that one. So you cannot just do that. On the other hand, where Anne was saying people are working from home, and we understand that, and some people are still working where they're endless hours. So just like we pick up the phone and we're trying to call the bank at whatever hour in the night, some of those people are still working. If somebody really needs to call a supervisor at home at that hour, that's kind of, iffy.
So is it any different if they call at 4 p.m.?
Well, because we're looking from it now in the context of work. So, but at the same time, if nothing is going on, like you had mentioned, we're watching. You're trying to be slick, but you're saying, okay, we're watching a show, and so you don't want to disturb the show, so you're gonna get up and you're gonna go outside. You can do that one time, but if you do that 3 times, then come on.
So it doesn't matter what time of the day?
We're not gonna. No. There's still a limit depending on your work, the industry that you're in.
That's right.
Depending on your industry is gonna determine how late you will be on the phone.
No, but that's what I'm asking. Does it matter what time of the day? We put
Action.
up there at 10 p.m.
Action.
So if it happens at 4 in the afternoon.
So you can walk outside at 4 because I'm watching a show and you don't want to disturb me at 4. But you can't walk out 4, 5, 6. You can't walk out every time you pick up the phone.
Well, I'll tell you this. Very real. Just yesterday, Luke and I were on the phone. I walked out of the room. So that says what?
No. Let's go back to what is your industry? What's your industry? Do you need to be on the phone with somebody that often, many times? Not all the time.
So hold on. It all points to talk about having resolve. it all points to the fact that you need to know, it is pointing again as to how much of our relationship was developed before now.
Exactly.
Because so many, I hate to say it, that so many relationships have been formed not because of the people attracted to them by themselves. A lot of people have been, relationships have been formed. So many of them have been formed by, and I hate to get in trouble with folks. I'm going to say it right now. The church. Nice church brother. Nice church sister. Them single. Let them get together.
That's right.
Mark you folks, before anybody get on my case, it's not the only place that this happens. But the fact that I'm just giving an example what happens in the real world. We're talking bar talk, real men everyday issue, real talk. The real talk here is that people get into relationships for every other reason but themselves.
That's right.
They went on a vacation to Florida or to New York or Canada, and somebody introduced somebody to somebody. She's single, he's single. Let's make a good connection. Yes, make a good connection. It's my good friend. He's a good guy.
That's right.
He's a brother in the church or sister. Let me say it before Kevin get to me. Or a sister in church. and he or she loves the Lord. He's on the choir. He's sing. On a serious note, all of these things have to do with how people eventually find themselves into relationships. Coronavirus is just one of those things that is like a litmus test as to the strength of the relationship and what you have cultivated in the time that you've been in a relationship. Because to be honest with you, Denise is right. So many people are now working at home. And so for all the husbands and all the wives, this is the disclaimer that I'm giving you to give your wife or your husband. The fact of the matter is, so many people are working at home. So many jobs don't operate when you're working at home, operate on a 9 to 5, but rather whenever the job gets done. So the fact of the matter is, somebody may be calling you at X amount of time. And yes, it could be the side chick, but again, you have to know your partner good enough to realize that you can depend on this person to be all he or she says he is.
So,
okay,
to that point,
yes,
to what you just said. So ideally, again, it stems from male or female that has insecurity issues. That's been skirted around, but let's just say it. So insecurity may be a trigger. Mm-hmm. Okay, if that individual is insecure and they think every time there's a call, to the point of the industry and certain things they may be aware of, but that person, male or female, if they're insecure, they're going to be very mindful, and then if the person walk out of the room, they're going to either eavesdrop or whatever it is. So insecurity is it's a tool. It is how you use it. The meaning you associate it to Juliet's point. Communication is certainly important. Okay, industries, there are different industries where they may have, contingencies where if something went wrong, regardless of the time of day, you must call. Okay, we have to have certain things, and it's just reality.
Yes, and however, though, I think as a conclusion to some of that is that, first of all, let me just say hi to a couple of folks. Cheryl, thank you, Cheryl, for the nice comment you made. Tiffany Reed, calling from New Jersey. Tiffany Reed says the side chicks are very upset now. We had another disclaimer. We had no. Kevin says the side dudes are offended too. We had no intent to. In fact, this is all part of the fun, the food for thought, and the entertainment. We are in isolation, and so that is good. So thank you for that, though. Thank you, Maxine. Hugh, thank you. Are you in Jamaica or USA? We are here in the US. Amanda Dawkins, hey guys. Hey, from England, how you doing? Daphne, how you doing? And a longtime friend of mine. And so Georgia Grant Taylor says boundaries have to be set. And that's where I was coming to.
Absolutely.
If anything we can resolve as a conversation or food for thought this evening, in talking about this being locked up at home, Yes, boundaries have to be set. Boundaries have to be set in so many ways. Boundaries have to be set in terms of people calling you all hours of night. That's one. But boundaries have to be set as to just how much time you get locked up at home. I don't care how much you are lovey-dovey. I'm so serious. I don't care how much you lovey-dovey. You just need to get up and go walk sometime. Wrong or right, folks?
Absolutely.
Right,
All right.
right.
You just need to
Absolutely.
get out of the house.
Absolutely.
And
Walk
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 out.
them out.
If it makes your wife feel better, leave the phone at home. Or if it makes your husband feel better, leave the phone at home. It's also a good time, though, to figure out in your mind, ladies, if you are or men, if you are the main squeeze or the side chick. What about the excuses? Have you seen that person that lastly is the person staying by you? I know some guys that got themselves into trouble. I remember one time listening to the Tom Joyner show, and some guys got in trouble because there was a snowing and a guy left to go visit somebody, and he couldn't get out. The car wouldn't start, and so he had to find a way to tell he was always making an excuse that he wasn't married, but he was now fidgeting at this side chick house because he's trying to wait to call his house his wife to let her know that the business was a layover and that he couldn't do it. So it affects all relationships. So whether it's at the office or whether it's elsewhere, I guess people have to understand the limitation of the relationship and exactly, and it helps you to decide how much can you take. If a good thing has come about this corona lockdown is that after this is over, you should have a very clear-cut thought in your mind or understanding in your mind what's the strength or weakness of your relationship.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts, last thoughts?
Absolutely. I agree with that. So it comes back down to the point Julie said, it's communication. And to your final comment is, yes, by this point you should. That's the takeaway. The takeaway is know your partner. Okay? You're in it together. You're in what you're going through and the fears and everything else. You're in it together. So emotions are pretty much on edge, as that's implied across the board. Whether it's jealousy, insecurity, fear, it's live. It's really a truism. So the takeaway is just talk to that person, communicate with that person well, okay? Share your fears and get to know that person as best as you can. So anything positive that can come out of the coronavirus, I say, is it creates an awareness where people are now, the humanity is now worldwide because this pandemic is now, there's a focus and a light shining on humanity where people are now being focused on understanding our being and who we are and God and that sort of thing, which is a wonderful thing for us to be more mindful of because of what's happening in this world today. So be mindful and be mindful of the person you're with and you're spending time with and communicating with. And we will get through it together.
Juliet?
And I say, at this time, once this is over, like everybody else has already said, we will know, or we should know, do we want to spend the rest of our lives in this relationship? Are there some things that we need to do to make this relationship better? A lot of people are going to realize that, you know what, I've invested a lot of years into this, but how many more years do I want to contribute? How many more years do I want to stay in this? So we can take the positive, and we should take the positive out of this, because at the end of the day, we have no control over this. This too shall pass.
That's right.
And as we pray for, the people who are grieving and for the people who are hurting, I think we also should really be praying for relationships, for marriages, so that when we come out of this, we will come out stronger. We won't come out of this and have a lot more broken homes where husbands are now gone to the side chick or wives are gone to the side guy, as Kevin said. But, at the end of the day, I think we should all take the positive, or look for the positive in this, and try to make ourselves better after this is all done. we should just try to get stronger. And as relationships, we should just try to make sure our bonds are stronger, spend more time, with each other. Right now, we're locked down and we have to do some other stuff, like Luke has said, take a walk, have a little other stuff to do, but at the same time, we should really value this time. With the hustle and bustle that we've had all these years, and now we finally got a chance. We didn't have any say in it, but we were manhandled and we were put to sit down pretty much and take a rest. And God is also telling us to take a rest. This is also for us to rest ourselves. A lot of us weren't sleeping like we should be sleeping. Now we have time to sleep, and that right. Even helps to build the immune system.
That's right.
So we need to just really, really take advantage of this time. Enjoy. I mean, there's a lot of grief, and I understand that a lot of people are hurting, but at the same time, we should really try to get some positive out of it, because we don't have no control over the negative. So we should try to get some positive. So let's just stick together, pray together. This too shall pass, and we shall come out victorious on the other end.
That's right.
Awesome.
Before Luke closes out, let me say this. If people break up because they're spending too much time together right now,
and they shouldn't be.
That's
Yeah,
right.
they shouldn't be together.
They probably shouldn't be together.
They shouldn't be together.
That is true.
Yeah.
So true.
Good point, Ken.
Just want to say a couple shout outs to some folks that I may have missed. And folks, if I miss you, I do apologize. But we really, from the bottom of my heart, we really are happy that you're part of the audience, because you have given us some things to think about. And so, Catherine, I want to say hi to you once more. And from Barbados, hi. I said hi to Denise already. I think I saw a friend. Did we mention Paula Scott?
nope.
Paula Scott, she's here. And Paula Scott would like, Elaine Scott also. We just want to say Marcia Carter, we want to say hi to you too. Charmaine Clark, hi, how you doing? Thank you for joining us, and thank you for a lot of the comments we have gotten. If for anything, and Cheryl, I think we said hi to Cheryl. As always, let's big up Hezron. And Melissa, hey!
And Judy Brown.
And Judy Brown, and Tiffany Reed, we did say hi. Cheryl, thanks as always. Hugh, thanks. Amanda Dawkins from England. Thank you, Daphne. How you doing? We just thank you all. Cheryl said something, exercise common sense. And I think if we could conclude anything else, that's something that we need to take a look at. Exercise common sense. Reality in real life. This time should teach us to reflect on ourselves, like you rightly said, and our relationship. This relationship, where is this relationship going anyway? How do we respect ourselves? How do we trust each other? For Andrew Dixon, hello, laugh out loud, yes. Catherine, Maxine Chang, hi again. Juliet or Janet, and just everybody else who we may have missed, I just want to say thanks. Keep joining us each week at 5 through yours truly, Luke Ballantyne, with Moment to Remember on Jamaicans.com. If I could conclude with everything that we've said, is the notion that it may seem awkward, it may seem a little bit hard to swallow, and the space being confined, but if we can do anything, I think all my friends here said the same thing. It's a time for you to get to know the person you're dealing with, or the persons, because with relationship we talk about the kids. We have not mentioned the kids so much. Kids could be another factor why you at home is misery, because the kids are there, and some of the issues that we're dealing with the kids at schools now suddenly comes home and realize that family members are ill-equipped to handle that. And all the other relatives that may be at home, because sometimes you have in-laws, you have sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, and all that kind of thing. So I don't think we even touched the topic. But at the same time, what we can conclude is that we must be mindful or be objective of what we have, objective of our own thoughts when we are pushing the boundaries, to be considerate of each other, because if every time the phone rings you walk outside like somebody said, there's an issue. You also need, if you are the side chick or the side man or the office chick or the office guy, maybe it's time for you to take a second look. If you're comfortable with that, well, I guess this all will be over and you'll be back to
Normal.
to normal. But if it
Their version of
your version of normal. But otherwise, this is a chance for you to realize that maybe, like Andrea and a couple people said, I'm home with hubby, or I'm home with my first lady, and I'm enjoying the experience. There are people
Are
out
they-
there, are there, yes, who
are they enjoying?
are they enjoying the experience? You know? There are people out there having a good time, and so for you folks, you got it right. For the rest of folks who are contemplating, like I said, you check the news, you check the CNN and all these other posts that says divorce is going to be on the rise after this. Figure it out. We don't have all the answers. I know I don't have all the answers. Hopefully we gave you some food for thought and just something, if not, we entertain you. Once again, on behalf of Kevin, Juliet, and Dennis, I really appreciate your stopping by. Join us next week for another exciting topic here. Yours truly, Luke Ballantyne, and Moment to Remember here on Jamaicans.com. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.